Hey guys, thank you so much for being patrons of Cocktail Chemistry. This is a bonus video for all of you guys who've been supporting me. I wanted to share a bit more about the history of the mint julep, where the name came from, and some of the symbolism around what it meant to be drinking a mint julep back in the day. So I'm going to be sipping on what I just made. It's very refreshing. Highly recommend it if you're doing anything for the Kentucky Derby. So the mint julep originated in the southern part of the United States, likely in the 18th century. It was actually first sort of mentioned in literature in 1784, describing it as a prescription for some symptoms that you needed to alleviate, specifically difficulty swallowing. And so I have a quote here. "I then prescribed her an emetic, some opening powders, and a mint julep." So that's the first written known history of it being mentioned. So what's also interesting is that it used to be made with spirits like rum and brandy. And it was only when it was first used and made the official drink of the Kentucky Derby in 1938 was it sort of known for being a bourbon-based drink. All right, so where does the term come from, mint julep? So the word julep actually goes back a long way. It's actually a Persian word called gulab. And if you've ever been to an Indian restaurant and had a dessert called gulab jamun, it's sort of a doughy pancake balls swimming in a rose water syrup. So gulab meant rose water. And so it had since evolved to mean more a sweetened syrup, often used for medicinal purposes. So mint julep was sort of an evolution of that, as you saw from that earlier quote, right? So back in the day, the mint julep actually was somewhat of a status symbol. To have one prepared for you meant that you were part of the elite. In part because it required a bunch of ice, and that meant you had an ice box, and an ice box was somewhat hard to come by. The original vessel for drinking it out of was a pure silver mug, and so that was obviously a status symbol as well. Who could afford a silver mug? Only members of the elite. And then also you needed someone to prepare it just right. So typically people who had a servant who could prepare it perfectly would, those are the people who were drinking the mint julep. So it was definitely a high society beverage. And the last little fun fact I will leave you guys with is that there's a variety of different types of mint juleps out there, but broadly, if it's made in Virginia, you typically remove the mint when you're muddling, kind of like the one we made today, but a Kentucky mint julep, you typically leave it in. And often you find those with the mint thrown in, put a little of the simple syrup in, and you muddle those together, and then you throw in the ice and the bourbon all together. So that's more Kentucky style. But I personally prefer to drink it without a straw. The straw tends to get clogged up a bit with the small bits of crushed ice and some of the mint. And when you drink it without a straw, you really get your nose in there and you get that intense mint aroma. It's great on a hot day. So hope you guys try this out. Highly recommend it. Until next time, cheers, and thank you for being patrons of Cocktail Chemistry.